Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mighty Mark coming at you with another episode here at Slimy Green Garage. It's another brisk day here in Missouri with a high of 36 degrees, and we are currently getting back on the 1955 Chevy. And if you walk over here with me, you can see we've got all of this rusty treasure that has been removed from the car. You know that we're working on the floor pans if you watched that last video, specifically front floor pan patches. We are taking out the previous, or we took out the previous front floor pan patches. We are going to be installing new body mounts because, well, the ones that exist are shot and some were missing. Whew. Anyway, I have currently cut this little piece out right in here. Can you see it? And I've made this little piece and coated the underside that will be down in there. And I'm gonna go ahead and stitch that in, and then we'll work on cutting out the next bad area, and we will stitch that in. And then we'll keep doing that until maybe at some point it will look like something that we can be proud of, or at least feel like, ooh, that's a whole lot better than what we had. So I hope that you're all doing well. Where are you guys at? What are you working on today? Is it warm enough to be outside where you're at working on something? Or are you stuck in the house just trying to keep your mittens warm? Anyway, God bless you guys. I love you. Thanks for watching. And let's go ahead and see if we can't get these front floor pans repaired and done in this video and move on to getting this car back in a running condition so we can pull it out of the shop whenever we want. Well, I guess it's time that I put on this old hood, tighten it up, throw on some gloves. Oh, it just feels good to be out in the shop, getting some things done. Suppose we can flip on the welder. We've got some decent light. Hopefully my plan works. I'm going to hook my grounding to one end of this piece that I'm welding in. I need to decide which way do I want this to go today. If I would have cut it completely square, if I had a break or a shear or something of that sort, that would make my life a lot easier, but I think if I just strap that on there, hopefully this works out for us. So position this exactly how I want it. Come on now, work with me, will you? I'm just trying to help you. Okay, we got a couple started there. I'm probably gonna have to change that up now. We can ground it somewhere else on the body, but everything's rusted, so we'll see how well that works. Can we try it right there? Is there anything left structurally to help us? I know. I need to trim just a hair off the end of that, so that's what we gotta do. Well, come on now. Any of you guys feel the struggle? Would you just work with me? Come on now. And another nearby outlet because we're running multiple pieces of equipment at the same time. That's when you wire your shop. That's when you wire your shop. You just make sure you put enough outlets in. So I need to trim hair off here. Not too much. I need a new visor, by the way. I can't see squat out of this thing. In fact, I'm going to go against what judgment I do have. I was going to say better judgment, but you have to have multiple types. We're just going to put on the safety glasses because I can actually see out these. And I need to be able to see with what I'm doing here. Guy needs to have like quick release helmets, goggles, all in like one system. There's probably something out there, but well, we're using spare scrap metal and parts that you should probably buy new. So as you can tell, we're on a budget and we're using what we got. Are you happy? Oh, come on now. All right, that's not horrible for a start. It ain't just gonna fall off there. that's not so bad. So, and you can see we just, you know, every inch, inch and a half, we just kind of, you know, stuck it there. Now it's better. And now we need to do more. You hear what I'm saying? If you liked art class in school, if you've ever done drywall, what I found with metalworking stuff is it's pretty much the same. It's just harder because the materials that you're working with, well, not quite as forgiving, but if you got the right tools, a little talent, and mostly persistence will take you a long way in life. So, I'm gonna come in and now run our cutting wheel along this area to the spot that we've designated we're bringing it to. And I guess the only other thing I would add is that when you're doing stuff like this, you want to make sure that you cut back far enough to where you actually get to some good metal. If you're just trying to patch it into old stuff that's kind of, you know, cheesecloth, you're going to burn right through it and it's going to cause you a whole lot of grief. So it's just easier to get back to something that has some substantial amount of life left in it. And it's going to make your life a whole lot better. Okay, you can see this really fancy pattern that I made. Again, it just kind of fits like so. And now I'm just going to trace it out onto this. Well, I can just show you. This rocker that was in the trunk of the car when I bought it, I assume it was like brand new at one point. Never been used, but it's already got like a few bad spots in there. So hopefully that's not an indicator of how great quality of this metal is. Anyway, we're just gonna, you know, kind of like so, trace it on there, cut it out. Currently baking the paint on our patch that is going to be fitted right into this spot. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the gear on and let's go ahead and start tacking our new patch in this piece. We got good light. That helps a lot. Oh, come on. Don't want big globs. Oh, that helped. We can put a few more in. It's actually not bad. I can put a few more in, I think. That's good enough to get her tacked down the end. Well, the hood must be on to flip it down properly. All right, now I'm going to run the flap disc along this edge. Need to take off a little material on this patch. So we might have to put a little extra metal in down on each end. Took it as far as I wanted to, but like I said, it's a little thin in a couple spots. Oh. And our battery's dead. We'll get this section done. Then we need our angle iron that we'll probably have to custom make again out of square tubing because they didn't have any small enough stuff that I wanted. And we will repair these two channels where your outer rocker has a lip that comes up and your new floor pan will also have that lip that meets, creates this seam along this outer edge. Still have to do our patch here. We got some patching to do on our brace up front. But we made some good progress there today, so I'm happy with that. Well, as we quit for this particular day, I think it's important to find moments in every day that are special. And as the sun sets tonight, we've got an absolutely beautiful skyline. We've got some ice on the pond over there. And you can see, you know, in the wintertime, things are at a state of rest. The old Galaxy sitting back there. We got our Dodge D150 and you know what, the old Riviera, well, she's probably looking forward to spring too, but what a gorgeous view this time of day. It doesn't last long. Sun sets pretty quick, but wow. Can you ask for more than that? Let's get back to work. Well, it's a brand new working day. We're starting about, I don't know, 2 hours before quitting time, but my wife was looking at me a little funny like something was wrong with me, and so I thought I'd just come out to the shop kind of feels like a safe place, you know. But before you start moving, especially on cold, brisk winter days like this, it's important to stretch when you get to my age, to make sure everything is properly warmed up before you get to it. You know, maybe you do a couple of push-ups, flip it around, and, you know, stretch out all that stuff. I don't know if it makes any difference or not, but at least you can feel good in the moment, like you've done your part to properly prepare yourself. But I guess we can go ahead and get back over on the passenger side and keep after it. Okay. Here we go again. Catch us if you can. Do, 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 do. Are you happy? We're getting happy. Bum, 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 bum. Come on, Hamlet. Definitely thin right there. Okay, well, that's about as good as we're going to get without cutting another patch. Fine, if that's where you want to be. I'm going to go ahead and do some more stitching right here real quick. Okay, do we got any junk strips laying around here? That's some of our garbage. We already took it out of here. Fine. Fine, we'll just make more patches. So, we got a natural bend in that one too. And you know what the great thing about having that rocker, anytime you got scrap metal laying around, don't just take it in for junk if you're doing body work, because, you know, you might have a piece of metal when you don't have the proper tools, and it may already have some natural bends that kind of look like they might work in a spot that you're working. We've made good use of this rocker so far, and I see a piece right here. So, actually, you know what I think I'll do is I think I'm just going to take a basic measurement, cut me out a piece of that curved metal that we have there, and kind of sit it in here, and then we'll just see how far back we need to cut this area out to make it right. Something like so. I'm just going to cut it out right here. I'm going to do it so you can see it. Just kind of hold that like so. It's the perfect patch. It's not rocket science, kids. Remember, just like an art class, just do it. It will come together. You get a little bit of a mess going on, and just don't be so hard on yourself. You clean it up. I've told you before, though, you should be cleaning up at the end of every day, so you know exactly where things are. And again, this is not precision. This will be this is going to work nice. So I'm going to cut it just a hair long, and that way I can just take the flap wheel until it fits in there just perfect. You know what? Sometimes things get cobbled a little bit. That's what I'm trying to say. And we've all done it to a certain degree. So we're going to devise some way when we're all done with this to coat the inside of this rocker to help further protect it from decay. All right, I'm going to slap a little paint on that. I'll bring you guys back as soon as I get that stitched up. Check it out. Ladies and gentlemen, all you beautiful people out there, we are back in the shop and we are getting close to being able to put this pan in. For all you Tri-5 people out there, somebody tell me, this front brace that goes on the front side of that floor pan, you know, I assumed when I ordered my body mount kit that in this spot right here, underneath there is a gap. I would assume there would be a body mount there. I know that this mount, a lot of people hacked those off. They were used for the Power Glide transmissions apparently. But why is there no mount right here? When you cut out your floor pan, and because my floor pans, having been previously patched, well, they weren't done that great. And you can see my new line, that's where we're going to be butt welding. But if you see this brazing right in here, it's like 1.5 inches higher. The floor pan patches that were put in here, they weren't mated properly down in the front. In fact, they were sticking up. Well, this brace, it's too high. And so, you know, all I did was put the pan in, and I used basically a piece of all thread, ran it through the floor pan, through this brace, you know, nut on the bottom, tightened it up. That sucked that floor pan down where it needed to be so I could properly mark on the outside here. And it allowed me from underneath to use a paint pen to trace around this brace from the bottom side so I could drill holes in the floor pan for our plug welds. But anyway, if any of you Tri-5 guys are familiar with why did they put those holes there if they weren't going to use them? Somebody surely knows a lot more about me on these Tri-5 cars. So tell me, the brace is there. There's a brace here. There's a hole that goes through that mount. Why didn't they use it? Anyway, enough of me rambling. Well, it's cold currently, but take a look at what we got going on with the passenger side floor pan. I've got it mostly stitched up. And so as we went along, I just took our cutting wheel and worked our way along, and we pressed it in. So this is stitched all the way around. You can see our Ford parts that identifies as Chevy metal now. And at this point, I've still got a couple of holes here. I'm going to have to make my patches and do that from underneath because I can't get my wire wheel in to these areas from up top, but that's not a problem. So at this point, I need to patch those in. I still need to take our grinder in here and clean some of this up, and I'm going to have a few spots I'm going to have to go around and just any pinholes I see in the work that I've done, we're going to make those better. I'm not an expert welder, and we're working with this titanium unlimited 140 welder, which is awesome, and I'm using flux core wire because I don't have a tank for this welder yet, and so maybe that'll make a little bit difference in the quality of the weld. I don't know, you tell me, but it's done a great job so far. Really happy with how this is turning out. So we're going to be removing our little decal sticker here pretty quick. I'm going to go and hit that with some color, and then we will be coming in with some seam sealer just to touch and manicure those areas out once I have everything welded up just the way that we want. So anyway, it's cold outside. Our well house froze up last night apparently, so worked most of the day on getting the well house unfroze, which was a chore in itself, but we now have running water again so that I can bathe and not stink up the whole place. Any of you experiencing the same things? In fact, while we're talking about it, maybe I should just show you here in Missouri where we're at, what it ended up looking like outside. Now there again, you know, the weather forecasters The powers that be, they're always going to make you want to be scared and distracted and thinking about everything but what's important. But you can see we've got snow on the ground. Land Cruiser's covered in snow. The old D150 is covered in snow. And if we came over here, you can see that the Rivy is not happy. The pond is frozen over. The sun is starting to set. But all in all, I'm just happy to have running water at this point. So life is good, and you know what? Things happen in life. Just deal with it. One step at a time, one foot in front of the other. Dad always used to say, keep your chin up and keep moving forward and push through, because nobody ever told you that life was going to be easy. So that's where we're at. We're looking good. Well, once again, kids, we are back in art class, and we are in the process of putting on our seam sealer on this passenger side. We'll apply our seam sealer just like watercolors back in the day underneath the car. We will do the same thing there. If it was a little bit warmer, I think this stuff would flow out really nicely. In fact, I could, when we're getting close to being done, I could probably get the heat gun over here and we could probably get this to float real nice. So right here is our Ford metal. So this obviously isn't rocket science. I think I'm going to go ahead and keep after it. And once I get this done, I'll let you see what it looks like before we put the paint on and after. So there's a start anyway. This side's starting to look pretty nice. All right, well, we got our seam sealer put down, and it's, I don't know how long it's going to take to cure, but we'll come back in a couple hours and see what it's looking like. It turned out really nice. I'm very happy with it. Passenger side, really close to being finished up. Then we can hop over to the driver's side and get to work on that, get it done, and then we can get into some of the fun stuff I've been waiting to do, and the stuff that spurred this all in the first place. The goal was to fix the throttle initially, the throttle cable, there again, aftermarket, get a battery for the car, get the thing back up and running so that I can pull it in and out of here as we're working on other projects. But it led into more because we took, obviously, the driver's seat out, gutted the interior essentially, and well, it was going to have to be done sometime, so why not now? Well, if I didn't tell you, it's still cold outside, but we do got some good news. We open up the door, driver's side, passenger side, front floor pans are installed. The only thing I'll end up doing is once the seam sealer sets up on this side, we can paint that all black. I'm going to do a better job of cleaning up the floors along the firewall, and then we'll go ahead and paint the whole floor. I do have some holes in the floor that don't need to be there, so I still need to weld those shut before I get to that point. But the great news is that we're actually going to be able to get to our throttle pedal, rework that the way it mounts to the firewall. I don't know if you guys could even see up in there at the moment. Is there enough light? Basically, there's two screws to hold that. The whole thing is flimsy, and so I probably need to weld in a larger chunk of metal for that assembly to mount to, but that's on the list. Getting the throttle cable to go out in a better position is on the list. Then we can go ahead and get the hood opened up, and we can get to work on installing the carburetor and just making everything work. The more I work on this car, the more excited I get, and the more I dream about what are we going to turn this into. And so when I look under the hood right now, there's a lot of good stuff going on, but it's messy, and a lot of things are going to change. Well, boys and girls, we're back in the shop, and today I'm going to show you, we've got our gas pedal bracket much better than it was. There was a big hole that went through the firewall, as well as a couple holes where I previously had that mounted. It wasn't working right. The cable wasn't routed right. It pointed straight into the back of the valve cover. And so we moved that all over, shifted it after I welded up the holes. And so that's much better. And if you come under the hood, you can see that now our cable clears our valve cover back there. If you can see, See that? It used to point right at the back of this thing. And so we've got our new carburetor in our shopping cart. I'm gonna get some parts ordered today. We are gonna go ahead and order new carb studs. We need the linkage stud for this. We're also gonna put a 1-inch phenolic spacer in between the carb and the intake. I've got lots of things I wanna do on this car. Eventually, I wanna do a whole redo of the wiring inside the engine bay, the color combinations. I wanna go back to something more basic, not quite as flashy, just classy. So we're gonna go for classy. That's gonna be down the road, but for now, again, we need the studs, mount the carburetor, get our throttle bracket all hooked up and working, get our battery set in here, and we're really close to having the car running again. So we're making lots of progress there, but while we're waiting on parts, we're gonna get back inside the car and we're gonna go ahead and rough up and coat as many of these surfaces as we can. Maybe go ahead and pull off the driver's door panel, but all these back areas in here, let's get those painted up. I think we even work on the old roof and do the same. So while we are waiting, we're just gonna see how much progress we can make on the car. Got lots of things that we wanna do. And initially, remember, we started working in on this so that we could get the car to where it can drive in and out of the shop as we're working on other stuff. I've had a really good time working on this car and I don't want to stop, but we got a lot of projects that we have to get done as this new spring comes to us. We got to do paint and body on the wife's 66 Chevy truck because she wants to sell that. She bought another project, which I can't tell you about yet. You're gonna have to wait and be patient, but it's gonna be awesome. Also our Dodge D150 truck, we're gonna do paint and body on that. And then I'm gonna sell that because, well, even with what we did on this car, with the floor pan patches, and just getting it back up and running, that's 500 bucks, approximately, maybe a little more that I had to put into it to do what we've done to get it mobile in a happy place for now. So our our shop budget, it constantly seems to be dwindling down, and it doesn't take long for it to do that. So we need to be doing things to bring money back into the shop, and doing work on that Dodge D150 will be one of the things that helps. We also need to get the Buick Riviera back in here, which I know a lot of you love, because we need to get that thing further along in the process, and that car will probably end up getting sold too. And it's not because I don't really like it. In fact, I really like the Dodge D150. I really like the Buick. Both awesome cars. And we're gonna get them to a place where the next owner can thoroughly enjoy them and have a cool ride. I've already got these two keeper cars for me. So if I get the work done on some of those other vehicles, we can start doing more videos on the 55, on the Chevelle, and we'll still sprinkle in some other stuff, you know, as time goes on. But it's gonna be a super busy year. It's still cold out, but the sun's shining. I installed that little heater a couple of weeks ago. Daughter Alyssa replaced hers, and so I went ahead and wired that in. And if it runs all day, and I got a little box fan up in the corner, and if I got running to push heat down, it takes the edge off in here. But it literally has to run a long time because, well, I think our heater is a little undersized for what we're trying to do. But anyway, I'm gonna get back in the car. We're gonna get started on those floors, doors, roof, kind of start prepping them, and then we'll get in there with, what was that product? It is our SMAPHY. You guys pronounce it. What do you think it sounds like? Smafy. Smafy, rust converter for metal. It seals rust permanently. It's for professional use only, so don't know how I got a hold of it, but it also says there's no need to remove rust before applying, which, yeah, you're gonna at least prep it. It's lead-free, and it's for metal substrates only. Paint directly over. It's even got this little ribbon on there. It says it's the best quality. I don't know that it won any prizes, but it's not bad for advertising. So anyway, let's get to it. Well, I guess we can get started by pulling off these handles and go and get this door panel off, all this stuff. And then it's prep. So let's see if we remember how to do this. On the right side, wrong side, one way or the other. Can't be both. feel like it's locking in there. There we go, it wasn't so bad. Clip is still in place, I can push that back in. We do it twice. That's fine now. Oh, that was a piece of cake. Right. And because we do things smart every now and then, got a baggie, says driver's door on it, so any of the hardware we pull off, we got it. Phillips screws. Well, you want to do it the hard way, or do you want to do it the easy way? We're going to do it the easy way. 1, 2. Wow, how about that? So only had to take out 3 screws. That was holding the whole thing on. We do got some factory markings on here. What's that say? C49? Is it upside down? I have no idea. But you can tell these panels wore out. We've actually got evidence of, it almost looks like termites in here, but definitely bug poo of some sort. Got one down low. You gonna be cooperative? Might need to get a pair of pliers on that one. How about down low over here? That one worked. Anything else? I think that's it. Well, let's see. Today is Sunday as I'm recording this. How you guys doing today? Having a good day so far, I hope? What are you working on? Is it still cold where you're at? Most likely. It's probably colder than normal. That's okay. We just power through it. Seal it up. Bag, tag, stocked, locked, and loaded. A lot of this work. If you don't enjoy the process, it can be a little monotonous. Thankfully, I do enjoy the process. Oh, look at that. Some of our original color right there. What color blue is that? Matches the dash. I believe this car was just a one solid color car. It's a 210 model, if I haven't mentioned it already. Even though it's got the Bel Air above the clock in there, that's been changed out. And there's designation. It is a B55, which I assume means base. I could be wrong. For you knowledgeable people out there, why don't you tell me? So you guys tell me. You think we just take a wire wheel on the drill and we can just go over these types of areas, hit all the areas that we can like that, and call it good enough for what we're doing, just so that we can get some of our super high quality products put on here. I think that's not a bad idea, so let me grab a tool. Let's just see how this does. Well, you guys get the gist of what we're doing here. I'm not going to bore you, and you would be bored, believe me. I'm not bored. I'm having a great time. But you would be bored if you had to just sit there and watch me do all this. So I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and continue to work on prepping these areas. You guys just keep doing the awesome job that you're doing. And I'll keep on working on this. We got this door, we got the passenger door, we got the whole rear cargo area. We have the upper roof structure. Yeah, I'm gonna be at it for a little while here. So I'm gonna just get after it, and I'll bring you back in to show you some cool stuff. All right, we got that. Snug it up. See, that's not so bad. See if we can fit those suckers in there. Let's get to it. Woo! Well, that was fun. Now I can break out the vacuum cleaner and start to suck up some of this garbage. Whoop, whoop. Oh, that's better. I can breathe again. Woo! I guess you don't need to hear the vacuum running, so we're just gonna try to fast forward this part too. How about that? Clean yourselves up, will you? So that was pretty down and dirty right there, but you know, this is something that we're doing that's going to give us a lot of bang for our buck, so to speak. So we're just basically breaking all the scale off in all the areas that we can. Now, we're just going to take the air hose inside the car and make another dusty mess even after we vacuum. You can see good stuff. Yep, that'll be perfectly prepped for putting down some rust restorative, rust preventative, award-winning paint. We're gonna go ahead and break out our Smafey rust converter for metal. And we're gonna coat the doors, we're gonna coat the inside roof, package tray, all that stuff that's brown is gonna turn black, and that's what we're doing. Well, it is time for us to break out a brush, and I think today we're gonna be doing big areas. I bought these cheap brushes because once you're done, you're done. And we'll see if this paint is any better looking than it was when we used it last. I'll go ahead and stir it up with this screwdriver. Boy, we went through quite a bit just doing that initial floor. That ain't bad at all though. And again, we're not trying to make this thing perfect, but we are trying to improve areas drastically, and I think we're gonna accomplish that. And you know what? If some areas aren't prepped perfect, you can always go back and touch those spots up. For the moment, I think I'm gonna kind of sit you guys down here, tilt your heads back. Hopefully you're looking in a general direction of maybe where something's happening. And I'm just gonna try to make myself comfortable. And oh yeah, we soaked up a lot there. But there again, with this big brush, hopefully we can fairly quickly, and not get a bunch of bristle hairs in it, coat some of this stuff and make it much better than it was. And then we'll get back in these areas as far as we can. Hopefully not pull out too much crap while we're doing it. There's some in there though. Eventually, all this will be dyno matted. So this is just something I'm doing because it makes me feel better about it. Lots of guys have different styles, different ways of doing things, and some ways are probably better than others. We are just working with what we've got. These areas have been wide open for a long time, and I don't think we're hurting it any by what we're doing. So it was yesterday when I was talking to you last where I told you we ordered some parts. So new carburetor stud kit that comes with a 1-inch phenolic spacer. What else did we have to order? Oh yeah, our carb linkage stud for our Demon 750 carburetor that we're putting on. 1/2-inch pipe plug kit. There was an Edelbrock carburetor on here, and so my vacuum port on the back of the intake had a bunch of plumbing fittings in it, of all things. They worked. But with that Demon carburetor, it sits back quite a bit further. You guys are aware that those bodies on Hollies and a lot of the other carburetors, they're not as condensed, and so I will be using the port on the back of the carburetor to fix that stuff, but I didn't have a plug, and because I had ordered parts anyway, I wasn't in a big hurry, knowing that I wanted to do this inside the car. So again, this is kind of another art class day where anybody can do this. It's not hard. Realistically, this won't take forever. My shoulders might be a little tired of it by the time I get done here, but I can already see with my cheap paint brushes that I'm going to have some whiskers in here, but it'll never be seen. You guys only know it because I told you. Looks like I splattered. I don't know how I did that, but I believe it because I see it. Anyway, it's a beautiful day. I actually opened up the garage door. First time I've been able to do that for a little while. It's supposed to be like 50 degrees here today, and I don't think it's going to stick around, but man, we will take it. Well, I got a little bit of squirrel brain yesterday after we applied our award-winning rust converter inside the car, and I'm not done with that, but I just went ahead and pulled our door glass out of the driver's door. I have all new glass for the car. The problem is, I don't have all the felt that I need for the car, because you got a felt strip that comes along here, one on the other side, and you also got this window channel with felt that goes all the way around and down inside here. And I purposefully was putting that off because, well, that costs money. But I went ahead and ordered that felt kit last night at just under $300, but that'll get both sides done. The only thing that I know now that I also need is this window regulator that's still in the car for the main window. Well, there's 3 rollers that sit inside tracks, and one of them for sure is garbage, and so I'm going to have to order the rebuild kit to put those on so that the wheels will ride on the tracks like they're supposed to. Hopefully the tracks are in good shape. But what we're going to do this morning, go ahead and pull that regulator out and basically I need to take a measurement because there's two different sizes. There's a 5/16 rivet and wheel, and there's a 1/4 inch. I don't know what this has on it, and so if I just go ahead and pull the regulator out, we can pull that out of the car, get the right parts ordered, and just that kit to do both sides is another 60 bucks plus tax from what I found on eBay anyway. So we're gonna have to get those ordered. Like I said, I really wasn't planning on doing the glass right now. We were gonna kick that down the road, but we still got a little time before spring gets here. And so let's get as much done on the car before that occurs. One more thing, the parts that we ordered to get the car back up and running, I think they're gonna be here today, which will be, you know, late afternoon. But by tomorrow, we'll be able to get back to work on that stuff. So for the moment, let's just go ahead and see if we can't pull the regulator out of here, see what we need. So basically what we need to do is, say on this particular roller, which was popped out of the track, and these are supposed to actually turn, we need to go ahead and drill it out and measure the hole and see if that's a 1/4 or 5/16, because that's going to make a difference on what we order. Socket under there. Give it a good rasp now. Just like so. 5/16. So we know the kit that we need to order is for 5/16 rollers. And while we got this apart, we can clean this up and we can paint it up, lube it up where it needs it. Everything still works. The teeth still look to be in good shape, so I think we're going to be able to bring this back around and make it nice. So because we're replacing the glass and all of those channels and everything, what we do need to do, you know, as far as in preparation for that, is we need to finish what we started yesterday, and we're going to put our rust preventative converter paint on these main surfaces, and then on the outer and sprayed down into these areas. Once we get those cleaned up, we need to paint that. So my plan for this car, color wise, I've decided is going to be satin black, and I'm going to kind of leave it at that because it's going to be done in a particular way that I think is going to look just as mean as this car sounds when it runs. So knowing that, I can go ahead, and as long as I paint all these areas black, when I do the main body paint, it will look just fine. And we've got some black in here that I can use just to do in the areas where we're going to be installing those window felts. So I'm going to go ahead and remove our door lock actuator here, arm, so it's out of our way. We can finish prepping this area, prep all these areas in here, and we can go ahead and start putting some color on those while we're waiting on our parts to arrive this afternoon. Pull these 3 screws out. There we go. That should just come out like so. It's going to make it easier for us to prep. Once the screws come out without breaking, which doesn't seem to be a problem here. The nice thing about tearing this all apart, we can clean all these parts up and we can refurbish these. Kind of a neat looking mechanism. the door latch assembly. Awesome. Well, we've got this door stripped down completely. And I guess I'm at the point where I've got a couple of pinholes on the front skin. And in order to really kind of prep this, it's just going to be easier to pull the door off if it'll come off easy enough for us. I already brought some sawhorses in, threw a moving blanket over the top because they're metal. And so I'm going to go ahead and see if we can pull out the 3 bolts at the top, 3 bolts in the bottom, pull this shell off, set it up on the sawhorses, and maybe go ahead and continue to prep on this thing. So here's to seeing if this will come apart for us. Okay, number 1. Well, these are coming out super easy. Okay, we've only got 1 more to go. I don't think this door is super heavy. They're all out. And the door is removed. It's still got some weight to it, and it is completely disassembled. So I'm going to try to lay it up here, gentle light. Is that what we're trying to say? Now, you can see the bottom of our door is actually in really good shape, so super thankful for that. I got the remainder of some clips for the weather stripping, and then after I get all this cleaned up in this area, we'll flip it over. We'll cut out that bad spot where I got those pinholes, weld in some new metal, go ahead and do some body work on this door. And unfortunately, the parts that we're going to be here today, well, the parts that we specifically need to move forward to get it running, they're not going to be here till tomorrow now, so it's going to be tomorrow afternoon before I even get those parts. And I'm basically waiting on a 1/2-inch pipe plug to put in the back of the intake. Now, yeah, I could scrounge something up. I could run to town and get something like that, but I knew that I had plenty of stuff to do right where we're at. So we got the door off, bag our bolts. They're all in good shape, so that makes me happy. So I'm gonna go ahead and do some wire wheeling on this. If we can get this prepped quick enough this afternoon, we might go ahead and put some of our magic treatment on it. But we're winning, so let's get to it. Well, now we get to have a little fun. The Smafey rust converter for metal. All in all, primer. We will just brush this in and get in all the crevices. Again, we're applying a thin coat. So I'll put a good glob down, and then I will just brush and brush and brush until it gets streaky and it's not a full coverage. We can put multiple coats on this thing. I hope you guys at home that are watching, and gals, you realize that a lot of this stuff isn't hard. It can be a little intimidating when you start tearing something apart. I guess I would encourage you, if you're on the novice end of things, that tear one thing apart at a time, document it well, take pictures, write notes, make sure you bag all your items, and there again, maybe work on one side of the car. If you need to get in deep like this, leave the other side together. That way, you've got some references to go off of in case you didn't get all those good pictures that we're talking about. Sometimes putting things back together, well, it's a puzzle, it's all it is. But we're having a good time. It's actually turned out We're in the afternoon now, but pretty nice day. I did not have any idea when I came out to the shop this morning that I'd be out here with the door off the car, completely gutted, but here we are. And for every piece that we tear down and we do nicely, I'm not saying perfect, I don't even know if that exists, but when you do it well, take a little time, put it back together, you're gonna feel pretty good about yourself. All this brown primer that was on there, it's bleeding through the black that I'm putting on, but after a couple of coats, it's gonna look just fine. Not to mention that everything we're doing here will never be seen. Once the car's all back together, we'll have door panels someday, 28,000 years from now, when we have money to do that. I didn't realize when I ordered the felts and the guides, but I was also going to have to order some screws and stuff. I don't know, maybe we can go to the hardware store and save us some money, but we are definitely in over our initial $500 budget to get this back out on the road. But we are doing things that we're going to get done at some point in time. We're probably, by the time I'm done messing with this when spring gets here, we're probably going to be closer to $1,000 that we ended up putting into this to get it in whatever state it will be in come spring. So it adds up very quickly, even when you're doing the work yourself. That's why they say it's always cheaper to buy a car that's done, because, you know, when you restore a car, I'd say 99.9% of the time, those people, they don't get their money back. You know, a lot of guys working on their cars, they do it because they enjoy it. Sometimes when the project's done, well, it's no longer fun, and that's why they put them up for sale. Or life circumstances, that kind of stuff. However, for us, on this car, this is a keeper. It ain't going nowhere. So I'm just kind of enjoying the process, one piece at a time. And you can spend a lot of time on a project. I think it's good to find balance. It's important to remember, you know, what's really important in your life. It's not your cars, shouldn't be, but the people that you care about, friends and family. Make sure you're making time for them. There'll still be plenty of time to work on your projects, but you'll never regret the time you spend with the people that you love and care about. I've been trying to do a better job this year of just at the end of the day when the wife and I sit down to relax, try to make some phone calls, reach out to people I haven't talked to in a while, reach out to people I talk to all the time, just to check in on them, see how they're doing. I know they appreciate it, and I appreciate having those conversations with them as well. Being out in the sun, this is drying quite a bit faster than it did on our inside roof yesterday. So this is going to work out real well for us. You can see I'm trying to make sure after putting the heavy coat on, we just kind of want all our brush strokes to be in the same direction, because this paint does leave some brush strokes. Flattens out pretty nice though, I'd say. Doing this work kind of reminds me of sweeping the floor. I have told you sometimes before already, but you know what? I enjoy cleaning up at the end of the day. There's some peace in it. All you young punks, you know, you make fun of the janitors at the high school. Well, that's what they ended up doing with their life. Well, you know what? A lot of those people, they do it because they love to do it. It's kind of what the Lord does in our own lives. I'm not going to call him a janitor, but he's in the process of cleaning up our messes when we allow him to. how's it going? It's actually getting a little warm out here in the sun. It's getting hot. I've been waiting for this type of weather. Here it is. Get to the point of year, and I don't think we're there yet, where you start off in the heavy clothes and then you have to strip down. Yeah, that is looking pretty nice if I say so myself. And we'll have to go back and touch up areas after I weld or patch on the pinholes on the other side, outer skin. Then I'm going to attempt to get all the roughness out of the inside of the door and also coat the inside of the door to the best of our ability. So I'll put a couple coats on this. I'll let you check it out when I get done. Well, that door sure is looking sweet. The floor pans are complete with the exception of paint. The throttle pedal it's fixed, man. It's so much better than it was. We've got parts on order and we just ran out of time, but I'm telling you in the next video, you're gonna hear this car run, Lord willing. I should have the parts here today to make that happen. We just happen to be in this video, we already ran up on an hour in length, you know, after doing the edit. So I just want to let you guys know how much I appreciate you being out here in the shop, hanging out with me. I do really feel like, you know, when I'm out here working on the stuff, you guys are watching right along with me. So hopefully it was at least a little bit entertaining. Some things when you're working on these cars are more fun to watch than others. I would say, you guys would probably agree with me, but you know, putting in patches and stuff, a little monotonous. Believe me, you watch an hour-long video, I've got way more time spent out here than that hour, I guarantee it. Mostly because of all the screw-ups, you know. If I was just a little more efficient and better at what I was doing, boy, that would make life a whole lot better. But we have a good time out here in the shop. I think it's important to celebrate each day in life. And I told you earlier, you know, find something good in this day because there's a lot going on in this crazy, wacky world that we live in. But if you haven't already, smash the like and subscribe button. If you like what we're doing out here, I do want to let you know how much I appreciate you guys watching. Building the channel has been fun, and we're going to continue to do that. When it comes to this next video, I just want to give you guys kind of a foreshadowing. It's going to be a special video for me, and I'm not going to get into it any more than that. But when we fire this thing up for the first time, yeah, I got a few things I would like to say, and so be looking out for that next video. And thank you. Thanks. So go out into the world, use the superpowers, the gifts, and the talents that God gave you to make the world a better and brighter place. We're all going through something. So yeah, be the word of encouragement for somebody today. Remember that while these cars are cool, they are not the most important thing in our lives. The people in our lives should be. So I would encourage each and every one of you, if you're not doing it already, take a moment out of your day. Try to do it on a regular basis. Give an old friend a call. Reach out to somebody. Have a conversation on the phone. Don't text them. Make the phone call, man. I'm telling you, it's life-changing. You're going to be better for it. They'll be better for it. And so that's all I got for you. I guess I'll be seeing you on the next one. I sure hope that I do. And if you guys haven't already, post to the community tab. Where are you at? What are you doing? What are you working on? Show us a picture, okay? I'd like that. I think a lot of people would. So anyway, peace out. God bless. See you soon.